Hello and welcome to Gierok Farms. In today's video we got to unload some hay. My dad, he's finishing up with chores. I'm going to start moving some equipment around. We got 2 loads of hay in here that we got to get off. We saved them from the other day. This is some of the second crop. He's only got a couple acres left to bale, but he's going to wait till after this storm to bale it. Then we got to get everything cleaned up there by the conveyor so that nothing gets ruined once we do get that rain. You can tell something big's coming. It's getting muggy and the sky's starting to turn black, so we're gonna get this stuff unloaded before everything hits this afternoon. So hope you guys enjoy. This is that wagon we fixed. It's working. It's keeping the deck from sloping. We put in that board and this board. We added those to give some extra strength because when we were making some first crop, the deck was starting to rub on this tire because there was so much weight. It was starting to push the deck down onto it. But it's good to see that that's still working. And then this is that tractor that had that tire that the valve stem got knocked off of it and it lost all the fluid. That seems to be holding okay as well. It's good to see the things we fixed are still working and holding up. The reason we didn't unload it all on the day that we baled it, reason number one is that, you know, when you're baling hay, it's typically already a big day as it is. So a majority of the loads got unloaded, but we left these 2 last loads, and they are pretty full loads just because it was getting to be quite a long day. And you hate to wear everybody out. We got room in the shed, so we put them in the shed and decided we'd unload them this weekend instead. And then 2, some of his early baled stuff from second crop was a bit wetter than he would have liked it to be, putting it in the barn. This allows us to keep more airflow up there instead of packing it in, because this hay would have to go near that hay in the barn. We don't have that much space up there, so it would get stacked right next to that, and it would eliminate the airflow moving through the top of that barn, and we wouldn't want to do that. So that's another benefit of leaving hay on the racks for a couple days. So we're spreading out our workload, and we're also, you know, catering to that issue of having some hay that potentially could heat, and you know, to avoid that from heating too bad, we're you know, leaving hay out of the barn to keep some air flowing through there. But who knows, that hay could make some really good hay. I've heard of situations where if you salt your bales or throw some kind of treatment on them, and we did throw salt on them, it can make some really nice feed. It kind of ferments, and the cows will just eat it up. Or it could go the other way where it could start to mold and you'll have problems and you'll end up throwing a lot of that feed away. So hopefully we don't have that problem, but I do think we will have a little bit of fermenting going on. But anyways, we got the wagon up here and lined up. I'm gonna go help them clean up in the barn, and then we'll start unloading.
We use at least 1 bag every day, at least. I can tell what the humidity is outside just by the look of this barn walk after I get done milking in here. You put it on right away, it dries it out a little bit, it kind of sets in. We plug in where the milkman plugs in, and they got their style, so I don't know, you can't just find them just anywhere. So if he shows up while we're unloading hay, he's got to help, otherwise he won't get the plug until we're done. I was going to tell you guys about this wall. The reason this conveyor is up on this wall like this is there's a tank right in here. Before I bought this farm, that's for my milk house septic system. So I wasn't able to put this wall, I put this rock wall in here back in the 90s, but I wasn't able to get it back for the sake of the conveyor. That's kind of why we had to finagle this conveyor up onto the wall. I felt if I took that more dirt out, I'd probably have frozen up sewer system here. But we got it all figured out, so we're gonna lay out the cord. We never leave this out, but if this was to rain, we always put this in, and I will even take the motor off. and put it in. Even if it is an enclosed motor, it's still better.
Yeah, we'll be doing that once we finish here. We started unloading. We had to come up here and we had to move the bale thrower off her. What would you call that?
Bale locator?
The bale locator. It's just a piece of...
Or bale. Yeah.
It's just a piece of steel that sits on the conveyor that acts as a ramp and throws it off where you want it. So we got to move that a bin back. But this is that bin that I was talking about where the hay was a bit wetter than we would have liked. It shows it real nice and green on the camera, I think, but it's a bit browner than the other stuff. And here's some of that salt that we were throwing on. And that's to help cure it and keep it from molding or anything bad like that. Who knows, it might make some pretty good feed. And it's probably a good thing that it's on this outer wall here, so it's getting some more airflow as well. Can help dry it down and keep it from cooking too bad.
This conveyor is a little giant, and it was in here when I came here, and it was hanging from chains. It would hang from these rafters, and they had chains going through. I guess it was a real cheap, simple way of getting a conveyor in the barn. And it was a little bit taller, but man, when you had trouble up there, you're hanging on that, you felt like you were in the circus or something. These here 2x10s that cross over from the beaming, I put in. Put some bracing in, and we kind of did it when the barn was partly full, so we didn't have to climb up as high to do that. And then we dropped the conveyor down on top of it. And then I got it going through the barn. It doesn't go right in the middle. It goes at an angle a little bit so that the conveyor that comes up is kind of off center a little bit too. So it kind of gets out of the way from like where our milk truck or where we come into our driveway. Everything is kind of going at an angle, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, it works like it's supposed to. It's just to make it work better for the way we're set up here. And then this locator, I remember I bought this. There was one that was with it. It didn't work very well. It was just a poor design. But I don't know if it's supposed to fit New Holland. Now all of them, I think between here and here are the same. They're pretty universal. They use the same chain and everything. But some of the drive parts and stuff are probably different. But this thing's designed so you can have it go either side. You know, it all depends on which side you want more hay to go on. You can. The nice thing is when you have a hay conveyor, and I wanted it to be wide enough so if a bale comes up crooked, it can be riding piggyback or sideways or upside down or whatever and not be plugging. It'll just go and eventually fall off the end. And this hole here probably should be wider. Same story. If a bale gets on a little crooked, it'd be better if everything was wider, and you want to avoid anywhere where stuff snags up, because if you got to get up there, you have sweat dripping off your nose, and anybody who's done this knows it. You do not want to be fixing. You feel hotter working on something in the hay barn than actually piling hay. We're going to scoot this out to the second bin. This bin here, this hay that wasn't put in just right, we're not going to put any more on top of this till this, unless we have to, till it clears out. Or cures out, I guess. We always try to unload our hay in the evening. A lot of times we'll bale them up later in the afternoon and then unload them in the evening when the sun is low or behind a hill, or even after dark. It's just so much nicer working.
I was telling them the reason we didn't unload these right away is let some more air in here, and we kind of spread out the work.
Well, I guess I was a little concerned how wet this hay got put in. We had rain coming, and we ended up getting 1/10 of an inch in this a day before there that we didn't think was going to happen. A 7% chance according to the kids. So we're not going to stop making hay from 7%, but it did rain, so then we deal with it. And we don't know what kind of day you're going to get. You start raking, the sun is out, and then it gets cloudy, and then the air gets still. So then we have to put preservatives on, and like you were saying, we put salt in between the layers. And I think what's going to happen, this is all going to be like caramelized. Now I don't know, I haven't had hay like this ever tested that cured out afterwards like that because it gets hot, and you hear stories that it could catch fire, and I guess that's our biggest concern, you know. So that's why I left it. Now we're what? We're
a little over a week and a half.
We're 9 to 10 days since we put it in here. You can still feel it's warm. I think the worst thing you can do is start digging around and it exposing more air into it. Once it's all packed and settled, you want to just leave it. It can make good feed. The cows will love it. I know they will. But I've heard a little where when it gets so hot, you lose some of your value, your nutrient values. But I guess you got to say you're not going to win them all. They're not all. It's not always going to come out perfect. And then the other day when we baled, what did we bale there? Probably 1,100. We had what, 9 loads? Real nice stuff. And I could see your baler. We were baling with 2 balers. So the day started out kind of cloudy, but it was windy. The air was dry. And the sun didn't really come out till what, about 2 o'clock? So the hay was marginable before that time. It probably would have been okay, but I was hoping for sun. I didn't want to make any more not so right hay. I would bet it wasn't even a half hour.
Yeah, I think I kind of talked about in the video too, how the first load was a bit wetter, and then we came back, we piled the load, and then we went out there.
Yeah, we kind of stalled it off a little bit, got more stuff ready, and then I could see the dust coming off that baler. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you'd thought the baler was burning. It was that dry. These loads here are just crisp. I bet they're down to 10%.
Yeah, this is some nice hay.
And normally you want to get your stuff down to, the magic number is usually 15, 16%. And you can do 18, and maybe depends on how it's stored up and all that. Hay is an art. So the best haymaking guy there is the guy that cuts, rakes, bales, unloads, stacks it. He's part of the whole operation all the way till he feeds that hay out. So then he remembers back how the hay was when he put it in, and then how it fed out, whether it got a little moldy for him. So you learn through time just how it's got to feel, or how it's got to look, or how the weather's got to be in order to get great hay. It can be a real challenge. Last summer was easier. It was a little drier summer.
Yeah.
We didn't have to try too hard at all. Seems like we cut it. We almost had to rush out there and get it before it got too dry.
Yeah, but then some of the fields for third crop they didn't yield the best because of the lack of rain. But it was easy to get the crop. So
yeah, second was a little shorter, and that's another thing too. Then your ground is really dry, so actually it's drying out from both sides, top and bottom. So there's so many things that go into the equation. Humidity. Now, I don't care who's selling you machinery, whether it's hay tedders, preservatives, different ways of baling, or whatever. Mother Nature's the key to the whole thing, more than ever. I don't care what you say. You get a day like yesterday, for instance. I thought the wind was blowing. It was so hot. I thought we could have made 1,000 bales of hay easy on a day like that. So we're gonna stack the rest of that into this bin here.
Yeah, let's get unloading.
right there.
We got both the loads unloaded. Now let's get everything cleaned up here before the rain shows up. So we're done unloading the hay. We got everything cleaned up. We're gonna end off the video here. Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And also check out all our other social media pages. We post a lot of different pictures and other stuff that's going on out here on the farm on those pages as well. But we'll see you next time.